for me, living life so merrily. It's so easy, can't you see? Polka, polka, that's for me. Polka, polka, everyone come along. It's lots of fun.
Miguel Iterati back here with the Talk and Shoot podcast, and we're going to touch on a boxing theme, the modern boxing era, the current calendar, and really what's up in boxing right now. I've got a couple of sidekicks, perfect people for the job. I got my usual sidekick, Mike Davis. Mike, you there?
Hey, what's up, Miguel? Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. And we're going to be doing these podcasts here every so often. You know, we're going to try for weekly or every 2 weeks. And what we really wanted to do was we wanted to bring somebody onto the podcast that we knew would give us some real serious insight information, and a person from the boxing world. And I'm talking about former WBC world champion Montel Griffin. Montel, you there?
I'm here. What's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm glad to have you, man. I'm glad to have you. We've done a few of these podcasts in the past with Montel. Montel's going to be joining us here as a regular for this boxing podcast. The ones of the past, we've covered some of the history and things about that. Montel's knowledge of boxing is very, very profound, obviously, not only inside the ring where he was a world champion, but outside the ring where, you know, you could really say he's a true student of the game. So he definitely is going to add some, and this could turn out, you know, to be something very interesting here, and something that I'd like to be able to do weekly. I think there's a lot of boxing out there. So let's get right into it. First, let's talk about the Premier Boxing Champion series that's out there. I know it's Tuesday. They've got, this Tuesday here, there are a couple of fights that are going on in Texas, and then on October 10th, there's still some. There's more fights that are going up in Lowell, Massachusetts, and then in the 16th, there's a fight between Andres Fonfara and Nathan Cleverly in Chicago, and that's right where you boys are, isn't it?
It is.
So what do we know? Let's get right into it. Montel, I'm gonna bounce it over to you because, you know, Fonfara trains out in the Chicago area, and what do you know? What can you tell us about that?
I started sparring Fonfara maybe around. I moved back to Chicago, so say about 06, 07. So a good 7-8 years. He was actually a junior middleweight when I started working with him. And I sparred him in 2011 for my last fight. And I'm actually, I don't know if you guys know, I don't know if we guys talked about it. I'm actually talking about having a comeback. I'm thinking about fighting again. I'm trying to fight November 25th at the Horseshoe in Bobby Hicks' car. And I've been sparring for the last 2 weeks at Sam Colon's boxing camp. And everything's been going pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, how you doing against them? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm holding my own. I haven't fought in 4 years. We talked the other day, and I think I'm like 17, 18 years older than him, and I'm handling my own. That's good, man.
That is terrific news on a couple of fronts. First, Montel, congratulations. 4 or 5 years old. I know you've never been away from the training and the stuff like that. So good luck with that in November. Any idea you coming back as a heavyweight? You're not coming back as a heavyweight. Okay, I'm glad.
I was every time at 265, right?
Yeah, you kind of worry a little bit, Jim Montel. I know you were always in shape and stuff, but you know you got. The heavyweight division is tempting to a lot of people, man, these days.
I'm 5'7". I'll never see the heavyweight division in my life.
All right.
I'm actually right now. I'm 200 pounds. I see myself fighting a good 190. At my best, about 190.
Okay. Excellent. So, but what can you do? So, Fonfara is the kid that beat Chavez Jr., and here he's fighting Cleverly, and this is a Premier Boxing Champion Series broadcast, so it gets him some exposure. What do you think? What do you think of that fight? Do you know Cleverly?
Cleverly been around for a while. I've been hearing that name for years. I know he's out in Europe over there. I think in London, or whatever. But right now, Fonfara had a good showing against Super it's not such thing as a pretty loss. But he ended up dropping the champ, and he came back and knocked out Chavez Jr., who's not really a real light heavyweight, but that was a big win for him, and on the move forward, I like the kid. Seemed real nice. Like I said, we always get along real good. We get in the ring. Like I said, we've been sparring at least good 7-8 years, and he a little stronger. He's a little stronger than he used to be. So that's one good plus. He like I said, he's looking good. He sparred 12 good rounds the other day in the gym, so he's in tip-top shape, and I think he's ready for this fight.
Okay. Now, and what we got in Cleverly, Cleverly comes in at 29-2. He held the WBO light heavyweight title for a while. He went the interim path and won an interim belt in London, and he did grab the belt back in May of 2011 from Alexei Kuzminsky. Held the belt through a handful of defenses, and including a fight in the United States against Sean Hawk, but he was the guy who lost the belt in 2013 to Kovalev. Kovalev stopped him in 4, knocked him down a couple of times, and that sort of stuff. Since then, he's won a couple of fights. Actually, he moved up to cruiserweight for a little bit. He's got a rivalry with a British guy who's also sort of in the light heavyweight title picture named Tony Bellew. He lost the fight to Bellew near the end of last year, and then he bounced back with in an 8-rounder in between. So now this is kind of a big fight for him as well. It's hard to say anybody's going to take a loss there and stuff, but I'm kind of excited to announce too that you guys are going to be heading over to that fight, so we'll be able to talk about what you guys saw there.
Like I say, I'm just glad I got an opportunity to work with him because, with my comeback, I could have got easier sparring to make me look good, but I would have get in there with a guy who was on the top level, and after sparring him and working with him, I know it gave me a confidence knowing that I could compete in this boxing game.
I'm glad, and that's absolutely true too. Fonfara at this point, obviously after the Chavez fight, now on this fight, getting into broadcast television, international opponent, former world champion, be another good feather in his cap. So you know he's going to be sharp, and that's quite a challenge to take on there, 45 Montel. So we're definitely going to talk to you before the comeback, and maybe even do a podcast around it. Maybe even send some cameras out there to get some taping of the sparring and stuff like that. That'd be exciting stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I'm very serious about this. I take this game serious. I love boxing, and I don't have time to play games and play with the sport. So I'm taking it seriously. I trained for a full month before my camp started Thursday, but I trained for a full month before that just to get myself in shape for training camp. That's good.
Do you have an opponent yet?
No, I'm going back and forth with Bobby Hicks at Promotions, and like I said, his date is November 25th at the Horseshoe Casino. So I'm hoping everything get worked out.
Awesome. All right, let's get into some of the other boxing calendar. We kind of talked a little bit about Premier Boxing Champions. They're on TV all over the place. We focused a little bit on the Fonfara fight with Cleverly out in Chicago, since it's right in your home neighborhood. But let's go to the heavyweights. Let's go right to the heavyweights and talk about Klitschko and Tyson Fury. Vlad Klitschko, Tyson Fury. Match has been rescheduled for November 28th. What are your thoughts on this?
Go ahead, Mike.
I've been hearing, there's a lot of people online, on the message boards, that are saying that it's not going to happen. This fight's not going to happen at all. And a lot of people believe that Vladimir is suffering from some sort of undisclosed injury. And this is all speculation. Keep in mind, but the same people saying this are the same people that were announcing that the fight was going to be postponed either this is going to be his last fight or he's done altogether.
Wow. Now that's a little bit of a news drop here too, because in terms of Montel, have you heard some of that? And what are your thoughts on this fight first?
Well, I was upset to hear the news about the injury, and thought the fight was postponed. Vladimir's been around. We all can see when he's fighting out that he's slowing down. He's not at 100%. And with the career he's had, what he's done, he hasn't lost since the Lema Russa fight. And I wouldn't have no problem with him retiring and walking in the sunset. His brother, his brother kept getting hurt. He said he can't do no more. So it's better than to just walk away in the sunset. I'm sure he's made so much money. There wouldn't be a problem. And why take a loss? To a younger, stronger, hungrier guy.
Yeah,
I think it's also kind of nice, like when you're the champion, Miguel, and you get to hand the belt back rather than having it taken from you.
Yeah, no, well, there are a couple of things. First, it's interesting too, because now what people are hearing here is basically the stock message coming through from the Klitschko people is that he hurt his shin and they rescheduled it for the November 28th, which is just a month out. And, so for him to retire, it would have to be a lot more than a shin injury, I think. And, he's...
I can only tell you some of the rumors on the message board. It's from the same people that announced that this fight was getting postponed like weeks prior to it actually being acknowledged.
I understand, and I think that's obviously a pretty decent source in terms of, we're just speculating. But I find it fascinating because Klitschko's the kind of guy who's, at least what they've talked about, he's been the kind of guy that they've talked about fighting for several more years and, challenging Joe Louis's records, which he's getting close to. And,
he's right there, yeah.
And that would be a good incentive to stay if you can. He's also sort of been the guy, he started to get these injuries. The Kubrat Pulev fight, which was the fight prior to this, was postponed because he had a pectoral problem or a bicep issue or something along those lines, but he postponed that fight as well. So, yeah, he's almost 40 years old, but I think he would troop on unless there's something seriously wrong, so let's hope that's not the case. But that's interesting news. Let's go over to the other exciting fight that I want to talk about is the Miguel Cotto Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. What are your thoughts on this thing? First, let's get into the perspective of how big a fight is it? Is it is one of these guys? Is Canelo really going to be the next big attraction in boxing? And then we could break down the fight a little bit as to what they'll do in the ring. Montel?
I'm very looking forward to this fight. You got a legend in Miguel Cotto, the up-and-coming kid, and Canelo Alvarez. I caused a lot of problems in the sports world when I said Alvarez was the sickest Mexican I've ever seen in my life. And I had a lot of people, want to go back and forth with me, but I'm sticking to my story. I think Canelo is the slickest Mexican I've ever seen. Salvador Sanchez, Ricardo Lopez, any Mexicans want to say that flip punches or whatever. This kid, I never seen a Mexican sit on the bottom rope and drop his hands and slip, numerous punches. And, I don't even look at that Floyd Mayweather loss as a bad loss in his career. It was just a learning experience. I think Canelo Alvarez will be the next star of boxing.
Okay, now that's a nice big endorsement right there. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with what he said. The way Canelo moves in that ring is just, it's not something learned. It's either you got it or you don't. And he's really fun to watch. And I think, to expand on what Miguel was saying about the Floyd Mayweather fight, I think Floyd took that fight at the right time in Canelo's career. He was young, he was up and coming, big city, big lights, and I think he wasn't handling the pressure the way he would now. On top of that, one of my main concerns too is Cotto's training camp. Cotto's training camp started, and these are just rumors online, and I should probably stop listening to them. But there was a couple articles saying that
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the longest camp he's ever had. And that, when you kind of when you have your rhythm for a fight, you kind of know what to expect, you know what to feel, you know where you are mentally. And they're saying this is the longest camp he's ever had. And, sometimes that can play with you, whether it's the weight cut, whether it's like your body, you're not feeling or aching a little more than it normally does at a time. And I think Cotto probably should have continued his routine going up until this fight. And, I don't know. I'm a little concerned about Cotto. I think Canelo this might be more one-sided than people are imagining it being.
Interesting. Yeah, Canelo's coming in as a favorite, which, let me give you my perspective on here. I'm going to take the Cotto perspective for the argument here. The bottom line is Cotto's a guy who's already, had an extensive career, and he's already built his machine. He's not quite Floyd Mayweather, but Cotto makes money at every turn. Cotto makes a lot of money, and he has a lot of ethnic backing with basically the island of Puerto Rico behind him. In New York, he's been a star headlining Madison Square Garden for a long time. And he's a pain in the ass to deal with in terms of management and stuff like that. He's switched management, promoters rather, at times in his career early on. He basically made a calculated move. He doesn't, and I see this in when he chooses an opponent, because that is one way that Miguel Cotto is a lot like Mayweather was, and that is that he gets to pick his opponents. He doesn't fight anybody he doesn't want to fight. Saul is the biggest fight out there for him monetarily now, so that's why it's a hard fight. But if you look at some of the other fights, Martinez, he moved up to middleweight. Miguel Cotto is not a middleweight. He moved up to middleweight,
He's fighting catch weights.
and he fought. I think Sergio Martinez is an excellent fighter, or was an excellent fighter, but he was shot by that fight when he got dropped against Chavez after beating up Chavez in the last round. He hurt his knee, and he took a long time off. He never bounced back. He fought that fight wanting to wear a brace on the knee. Cotto got to him early, dropped him, and he hurt his leg again, and it was over. But Cotto fought and got a middleweight championship, and he's not a middleweight. Since then, he's been asking for catch weights and all kinds of things, and fighting. Danny Gill is not fighting Saul Alvarez. So now for Saul, he's got a lot of money on here, but there is that aspect of Cotto does call a lot of the shots, and does he see something in Alvarez that he thinks he can break down? Cotto's a hell of a fighter, but he's going to have a size disadvantage already in this fight, don't you think?
It's no question. Cotto is a prima donna. He's a prima donna. He's always, he always talk about the A side and the B side. This is pretty much the best fight he could pick, for the money and for the fame, because he's fighting a guy who has never fought in middleweight before neither. So, Canelo, like I said, Canelo's 23, 24 years old. He's still learning. He's still growing. I think Canelo will be a superstar. Like I said, in the next year or two, he'll be ready for Triple G. And, Cotto can do whatever he wants to. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not an expert. I don't pick everyone right, but whatever you do, you can't take away the 10-year age difference. You got a young kid coming in against an old veteran who took some punishment.
Yeah.
And even though I bet and I rolled with Margarito, I really actually felt that the glove was loaded, and I felt sorry for Cotto. And I think it took a few years away from his career. But I'm glad that he got things back together. But
that definitely. Historically in boxing, people talk about there's some fights that you walk out and you're lesser of a fighter because of the damage you absorbed. And that Cotto fight with Margarito is definitely one.
It took a lot away from him, and I'm just glad that he was able to come back, because I feel that Margarito should be in jail.
Gotcha.
I agree.
That it was terrible. I had no respect for him anymore, and I'm glad that Shane Mosley caught him, and let him be known what he was doing.
Yeah, Pacquiao broke his eyes to the point where he can't get a license in some places. So, you kind of reap what you sow, I guess. But so, anyways, it sounds like you both are picking Canelo. Is that right?
Yeah. No doubt. I gotta go. I gotta go with the age.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure. I don't. I think I agree with you. Is what I'm going to say. Basically because I think that he does have a lot in his favor, and I think that it's also a sign of that he does call some shots, and he monetizes very well. And like you said, they probably both splitting a nice check from the casino as they move this fight to Vegas, and it's out in New York. But I'm not sure that the odds on this fight, which right now have Cotto at about plus 265, I'm not sure if that shouldn't be a little bit lower. That's my thought on it anyway.
Well, you also got like when we're talking about ethnic fights. If I mean, I don't really think this is a bold prediction, but I think this might be the biggest boxing pay-per-view outside of Mayweather's stuff this year.
Oh yeah.
You got Mexico versus Puerto Rico. It's going to be a huge fight, and I think him being plus 265 is pretty much contingent on all the money coming in from Mexico. It's such a huge country,
Yeah, no, and they bet their guy too, and Puerto Rico can't compete even if Cotto has a huge following as well, just because of the size. You're right in terms of at the book. So it could be. What I'm saying is
reflective. Yeah, our true reflection of where the fight's going to be. It's just more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a war there, and it would warrant a closer fight. Look at there. But another fight that people think is going to be a war that's coming up here on the calendar is the Triple G, Gennady Golovkin facing David Lemieux from up in Canada. What do you guys think of this one, Montel?
I'd like to say, and I don't mean in a bad way, out of all of the big time stars of boxing right now, I think Triple G has fought the least amount of talent. Not to take away from Lemieux or whatever, but I don't think Triple G has. I mean, the middleweight division is not really loaded, and I think the fight that everybody really wants to see is him and Andre Ward. I don't know if he can make a weight now. I heard he had to move up, so Triple G, pretty much cleaned out the division. I mean, it's pretty, kind of limited right now, if that's a word I can use. I'm looking right now at Canelo. If he gets past Cotto, I'm seeing Canelo being a great opponent for Triple G. I say by next year. I think by next year he'll be able to grow to that 160 weight class and be good. Willie Monroe Jr. kind of exposed. I can't really say expose him, but I saw a different Triple G that fight.
Mm-hmm.
We had a guy who boxed. It's the first time I was seeing Triple G go backwards. He got hit with a couple of shots, and Willie Monroe Jr. is not known as a big puncher, but it kind of, I saw a lot of things in that fight.
Okay, that's an interesting thing.
I think this fight might be his coming out party. A lot of people in the United States are now kind of getting in tune with who he is. It's crazy. He's 33 years old. You would think, is he 33?
Who, Golovkin?
How old is he? He's got 33 fights.
Yeah, he's about 33 years old. He was born in 82.
82, right. So he's about 33. I was getting confused in the fights. He's about 33 years old, and there's somebody generally that's of that age, like we're talking about Canelo.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, Golovkin is one of those guys that has, like, there's a whole slew of them out there now where when they were part of Russia or where they were in their countries and stuff, they came with an extensive amateur background and they stayed amateur for a long time and came to the pros a little bit late. That could explain a little bit of his age because, he has not been around. No one remembers a Gennady Golovkin fight from 10, 12 years ago. Just because he, has not been in the spotlight for that long. It's just been a few years and stuff. Now, he exploded.
In 2004, I think he won a silver medal in the Olympics.
Okay, so he's still in the amateurs 10, 12 years ago, whereas guys that are 33, a lot of the times they have some matches. Now, what do we know about Lemieux? I'm not impressed with Lemieux. Lemieux is one of those guys that I find to be, for lack of a better term, a little bit of a one-trick pony. He's fought a lot of competition up in Canada where he's from and stuff, and he's got a big punch. He hurts people. But is he a great boxer? I mean, he came, his record is decent, and he's got 2 losses that he lost back-to-back. He was fighting in what was turned for him a step-up fight or a big fight against a known opponent, and against Marco Antonio Rubio, and Rubio knocked him out. He dropped the fight after that, and then he went back to Canada and fought like 10 times, before getting back into, good graces. He fought in New York for the first time, and, came to the promoter's eye again. And, he's an appealing kid with a big punch, but I don't think he's technically in the neighborhood. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah. I mean, right now, Triple G's been champ for 4-5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I don't really been champ. It's been right there. Yeah, he's been champ, but he's just been up, people's radars. I know he won a WBA in like 2010. Right. So yeah, I mean, it's especially like 4 or 5 years. Okay, the thing about Triple G is, you gotta understand. From my understanding, he never beat a world champion before. So is that because of timing? Is it because and I try not to. I respect everybody who get in the game. Who get in that square. But right now, I just gotta say the jury is out. I mean, who have he really fought? I mean, we just gotta wait and see what. I'm not trying to be negative because he's undefeated world champion.
Yeah, I mean, that's the argument a lot of people do talk about Triple G. But by comparison, this is why I think that the thing about Triple G is, he's held the world championship for a long time, but he didn't really fight in the United States till 2013. So, like for American awareness, it's been just a few years really for the general fans to have caught him. Since then, he's had weak opponents. I mean, you can't agree. You have to agree, Marco Antonio Rubio, who he stopped in 2 rounds, is the guy that stopped Lemieux. So I think Lemieux is right in tune with this type of opponent, and this is a setup fight for Triple G. What do you think?
I'm not going to let it a setup fight. The guy's undefeated. He can punch, tough guy. He can take a punch. And like I said, it's just the bad thing about him is he just came around at a bad time where the middleweight division doesn't have like a big stock. So that's basically the worst thing about the situation. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we gotta just wait and see. Like I said, you got Canelo at 54-60, 54-55. He never fought at 160, and you got Ward at 68, which I heard he gonna have to move up to lightweight. So we just hope something good could be put together. So he get after you get past this fight, he can get in a situation where he can a big name fight and look good and move on from there.
Well, what do you think about something like him and Peter Quillin?
I can't wait to see Danny Jacobs and Peter Quillin. I just saw that fight has been made in Brooklyn. I'm actually thinking about maybe going out there. I think December 5th. I would love to see that fight in live. I think Quillin and Danny Jacobs, 1, 2, and 3. Triple G, Quillin, and Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs, they're the 3 best middleweights in the world, and they get to fight each other. So they go, one of them is gonna be X out the way, and then then you got the one of that fight. They fight, Triple G if they can put together. The whole thing about it is the HBO Showtime, BS. You know what I'm saying? You got 2 different promotional. I mean, don't get me. It can work out. I mean, it worked out with Floyd and Canelo. It worked out with De La Hoya and Trinidad. Anything can be worked out if they want to do it.
Right.
But I'm so excited and interested about that Quillin Danny Jacobs fight.
Yep, then you like you said, one of them is going to kind of, the loser's going to kind of fade back a little bit and leave the other one kind of the obvious other fighter there for Golovkin. Yeah, very interesting fight. That's scheduled for Barclays Center on December 5th too. So we got a couple of things going on there, but that's covering the calendar pretty good. I think I want to get into our main theme for the podcast here for a little bit. And that is the effect of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s retirement on the pound-for-pound lists. And, first, let's let me just go through. I'm going to use two of the pound for pound lists that are out there so we can compare and to cause some conversation. But for right now, obviously the pound for pound list everybody respects the most is from the Ring magazine. And they've placed Roman Gonzalez, the Nicaraguan flyweight champion, 43-0 at number 1. You've got Andre Ward at number 2, Sergey Kovalev at number 3, Golovkin 4th, Guillermo Rigondeaux 5, Vladimir Klitschko 6, Terence Crawford 7, Manny Pacquiao 8, Yamanaka 9, Shinsuke Yamanaka, and Kell Brook, number 10. And, let's start off with that. Montel, what are your thoughts? First of all, have you seen this number 1, Roman Gonzalez?
I saw clips of him. I saw clips of him. I mean, right now, I mean, you still got Andre Ward, who's undefeated, who hasn't lost since 19 to his amateur career. So, I mean, he has to get busy. Hopefully, so he gets back moving and pick a fight. But he didn't look great his last fight, but it really don't mean nothing to me because guys tend to be a little rusty sometimes. But I'm looking at right now I'm looking at Andre Ward and Kovalev as my 1 and 2.
Okay.
Kovalev, I mean, he's big, strong, can box, take a punch. He has it all. He was tested with the kid from Canada, and he came away with flying colors. Looked great against Bernard Hopkins. He's my number 1. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
He's the number 1. I mean, like I said, Andre Ward hasn't lost yet, so he's my number 1. And I got Kovalev, number 2. I like Terence Crawford, Klitschko.
Okay, let me bounce it over to Mike and let Mike give his thoughts on Roman Gonzalez. Mike, what you wouldn't keep him number 1 either, huh?
No.
Okay.
No. And you know what? He deserves it. I mean, he's got 37 KOs. He's 43-0. He's been on top 10 with pound list for about, I think it says here 68 weeks. But and I'm not trying to sound like I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but I'm going to.
Like a fat American.
Strawweight, flyweight, junior flyweight. I know he won world titles in all of those weight classes. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of that weight class. It's like I'd rather watch women's boxing, which I mean it's great. It's forward moving. I think there's certainly a place in it. The sport for it. I don't watch it. And those weight classes also tend to fall into that category with me.
Montel, what do you is that more or less what you think, or do you think there's something in Gonzalez that you saw in the clips and stuff that makes you think he's a notch below? Because I think
I don't mean no disrespect to other weight classes, the smaller weight classes, but like the argument with Carlos Lopez back in the days, 105 pounder, how many great 105 pounders out there? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of it's kind of hard to judge those weight classes. Those small weight classes, but I respect all those guys, but it's kind of hard.
Okay, I understand that. Now a lot of people probably
counter that. Not let me counter that. You got Guillermo Rigondeaux, at featherweight, who I love watching his fights. So I think it's sort of like in MMA, I don't like watching the 125 pounders. But I enjoy watching, Rigondeaux. I think he's a super tough guy. He's fun to watch. His skill set is just, blows me away. It's just, like you said, the bottom 3 weight classes. I tend to shy away from.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll open this up for you here a little bit. I don't know. I know that's the case. A lot of people discount the lower weight classes. And I don't know that there isn't a place for him. A lot of the times. This happens in MMA too, but a lot of the times, actually, the smaller fighters are the more technical fighters in general. I guess if you disagree with me, that's cool. But Roman Gonzalez is fighting Brian Valoria, and he's the co-main event with Gennady Golovkin and David Lemieux, so that the American audience is going to get a chance to see him. I almost feel like in this modern era, where you have high def TV and stuff like that. That he could be, somebody that markets himself well, and that his technique and talent is pretty off the charts. yeah, at those weight classes and stuff, there's maybe something where, it's hard to judge the competition and things like that. But he's done some exceptional things in terms of challenging himself and stuff. And he spent the better part of 2013 and 2014 fighting in Japan, where the Japanese have a lot of competition at these weights. They take it very seriously. Some of them are very skilled. And, he was fighting on hostile territory. I think that says a lot for him. Mentality-wise, I look for that. And I think, maybe there's a chance, like I said, that with an impressive performance under Golovkin and high-def TV and stuff, because I think what unsettles me about the lightweights is when you see pictures of Roman Gonzalez, all the girl models around him are like bigger than him and stuff. And it just kind of looks strange, you know what I mean? So I sort of know what you mean, but I sort of have been hyping him for a while. I thought he could make an argument for 2014 Fighter of the Year. In terms of, it wasn't a great year for, with one standout fighter. Kovalev was one of the choices that some people went with, and obviously, Golovkin got his share of people, some of those types of things. But he went 4-0, fighting in Japan, defending his flyweight title, on hostile territory, and winning him by knockout. So I think maybe we tune in and we give him a chance, and maybe we see some technique that we like and stuff. I
have a question for you guys. Manny Pacquiao is listed at number 8. Do you think that's done out of respect and body of work, or do you think he's still fighting at that level?
I mean, he lost to Floyd Mayweather. I mean, it's not like he lost to a guy that he wasn't supposed to lose to.
He didn't look too good at that.
But 6 rounds, it was a fight. It was a credible fight. The last 6 rounds of the fight, Floyd took over his boxing skills and everything. That's why he ended up winning the way he did. I don't think I can't agree that he looked terrible. It's just styles like fights that Floyd took away his punch output. And I don't think he slipped to a fact that he. I would have seen him go back down 140 to fight a Crawford or Broner, one of them guys to get back, get back on.
Gotcha.
Him and Broner.
I don't think he's a natural wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing. I'm just gonna say it like this. I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't know what he was doing to fight welterweight, but he's not a natural welterweight.
And so I just wanted to bring up another list that's out there, and that's the BoxRec list. And BoxRec's the boxing database, and they throw a mathematical formula out. Everybody knows they're not the greatest database in the world, especially when you go back into history and stuff. And this formula, I think, is going to cause a lot of conversation because they got Gonzalez ring number 1 way down at 29, and that sounds more like where you guys might have him. So you might agree with this list here. Let me just run down it real fast. Number 1, Vlad Klitschko. Number 2, Gennady Golovkin. Number 3, Saul Alvarez. Number 4, Sergey Kovalev. Number 5, Manny Pacquiao. Number 6, Miguel Cotto. Number 7, Kell Brook. Number 8, Keith Thurman. Number 9, Erislandy Lara. Number 10, Adonis Stevenson. And coming in at 11, you got Crawford. So I find that to be, they haven't even put Andre Ward back on here as an active fighter. And that's the argument. I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't see him. Andre Ward is all the way down at 19 on the BoxRec list. Yeah, look, the thing about Ward is this, Ward is one of those guys that you could argue about popularity and stuff like that, and whether his style is exciting because they were having trouble making the Carl Frosch fight, and Frosch even accused him of being boring and stuff like that. But you're talking about probably who, if he had stayed active, would have been. You could argue him number 1 over Mayweather. He's really an unbelievable technical talent, precise. Takes care of himself, is actually pretty much a good person, which, he's not in strip joints burning $100 bills and stuff, so who knows why he hasn't caught on with the American public. He's the last Olympian to win a gold medal, and he's simply, to me, I think he was in the argument for number 1, even with Floyd unretired. So to have him down at 19 either just means that they're counting his inactivity, I think. Any thoughts, Montel?
There's no way I would put him on Floyd Mayweather, but I believe everything else you go with, I could say he should have been he's number one in my eyes. So Floyd out the way, he's number one. If he was fighting, even with Floyd, I would never put him over Floyd. But he's he's had some time off, and he hasn't been the biggest media darling in the world. But I think he's a little bit too boring. You know, so he's too good. He's not controversial. He's not crazy like Broner. So all that brings all the attention to Broner. But as far as style-wise and skill-wise, he cleaned out the middleweight division. What that term is? Middleweight or super middleweight?
Yeah, super middleweight, 68.
So that was the worst thing that ever happened. He
Yeah.
cleaned out the whole division, so it's like, who he's going to fight now? So it's kind of messed up. It was probably a gift and a curse because, like I said, he cleaned out the division, which now he don't have nobody else to fight, and
Yep.
he gets to move up and fight the Crusher. So
Yeah.
he won't. Until he loses, he will be number one in my heart.
Okay. And so now Klitschko number one. I'm not I think it's interesting to know what do people look at in a top pound for pound list. I mean, this will answer your Pacquiao question too. I would rate Pacquiao around 8 or where he's being. I think 5 might be a little too high where BoxRec has him. But I don't think a loss to a guy like he lost to, as Montel pointed out, takes away a lot. If you look at these lists from a couple of years ago, there was another Filipino fighter on there named Nonito Donaire. And Donaire's another fighter I find a thrill to watch. He's a big puncher. He's real technical. He's taken a couple of losses, and he got caught bad by, I think it was Nicholas Walters that took him out. Recently, maybe he's slowed down a little bit, but he came off of these lists complete, and I was thinking, he's still a pretty... You don't lose all your skill, He's still an amazingly technical fighter, and it should be harder to fall off of these lists. So I'm okay with Pacquiao being on there.
Well, what about Rigondeaux not even making the top 20?
Of whose? BoxRec?
BoxRec, yeah.
Yeah, Rigondeaux's another guy. Rigondeaux's the other guy that beat Nonito Donaire. So when you talk about him losing, to pretty high-skilled guys, he went to full 12 with Rigondeaux as well. I think Rigondeaux is another guy you could put skill-wise. If you're talking about skill and what he does in the ring, to me, he's also tended to, or went through a period in his career where he was labeled as boring. Actually broke up with Top Rank because, even Aram's thrown the boring word around Rigondeaux and stuff. And
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it depends what fight you see because he can do it all. I think what happens is that he comes with a little bit of a mentality that's a little bit hard to deal with, coming up in communism and stuff like that. He tries to call a lot of the shots, and when you tell him, hey, you're boring, he does things like, he's like, hey, you're not in the ring. I don't know if that was the right response to Bob Arum. You know what I mean? It's not that, I ain't saying he's not right, because I think Rigondeaux is right, to argue against criticism and stuff like that, but it just doesn't seem like it was the wisest choice. Where he belongs on this list, I would put him probably in my top 5, not wherever it is that BoxRec wants to put him or wherever. What are your thoughts on Rigondeaux, Montel? What do you see when you see that guy? Too defensive, or is he really all that? He's another guy like Lomachenko or these guys with an unbelievable resume in the amateur ranks. I'm sure you know more about him than I do.
I mean, the guy's a professional pro. A professional amateur. He was a professional amateur that turned pro, and he's walking through these guys. I mean, he's not Mike Tyson, so he's not knocking them out, bruising them up and everything. So that's what brings the fans. You got two types of fans in boxing. You got the art fans that love the game for art, hit not get hit, and you got the drunk fans.
Yeah.
Rigondeaux, one of the greatest Cubans ever, one of the greatest fighters, right now, top 10. He's just a professional.
You're okay with top 10? Is top 5 too high for him, though? What do you think, Montel?
I don't have a problem with him top 5. I mean, right now, like I said,
Ward, Kovalev, Rigondeaux.
Kovalev, you got Crawford, you got Rigondeaux, Lomachenko, and like I said, you can't forget about the old dinosaur, Vladimir Klitschko. He's been undefeated.
I agree with
about
Dave.
7,
We
8,
should
9
have
years.
respect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just kind of think that, you know, a fighter of Klitschko's size is kind of limited in terms of, like, if he were a 140-pounder and all he did was fight like Vladimir Klitschko, he'd be awful. So I don't know. I tend to not put any heavyweights on any of these lists. That's just my opinion. But so let me ask you a question. Since we've touched upon Lomachenko, Lomachenko is a little bit. I don't know exactly where to place him because he's a little bit of a weird anomaly in modern day boxing, and this is maybe something we'll start seeing more of. But he comes with a huge amateur background, and he comes into the pros and instantly wins a world championship. Basically, he's still got under 5 professional fights, and he's already defending a featherweight world championship. So, is that enough pro fights for him to make this list? Is his amateur background, is he really that skilled? Or is he still kind of adapting to the pro game? He did take a loss to, I think it was Salido. One of those really tough Mexicans. I'll look him up here while we talk here. But just a professional fighter, a guy who'd been around 50 fights, had lost his handful of fights and stuff like that. But and the guy was bigger too. So Lomachenko has already taken a loss, but he's really highly skilled. Does he belong on these lists? Mike, I'll pass it to you first.
You know what? I think when you make a list like this, it's based on your professional history. You know, when you're talking pound for pound list, I mean, there's a lot of weight that comes with that, and I think it's a little premature.
Okay. Have you seen him?
I'm not saying he doesn't have the skill set to be there. I'm saying that he needs time. That's all.
Okay. Montel, what are your thoughts on Lomachenko?
Same thing as Mike said. He's a great amateur. I think he was a 2-time gold medalist. He won the world title in 3 fights. Pound for pound, no. Great fighter, yes. I would like to see him fight. You got the kid. What's his name? Is it Galloway? No, Walters.
Nicholas Walters, yeah, the Jamaican kid that knocked out Donaire. Yeah, that would be an incredible fight.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So I would like to see him fight. Some other guys. You see the old vet. Came in and banged him up because he didn't fight his fight. He wouldn't fight his fight. The old vet came in and banged him up, and he got a loss. So.
Yeah, and it was Orlando Salido, who I think was basically a hitman in that fight. A guy with a 40-12 record, but a world champion in his time, and just a tough guy, just a guy that brings the fight down to his level and makes it gritty and stuff. And Lomachenko looked okay in the fight. It actually came out a split decision at the end of the day, but and Salido didn't make weight. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are hyping up Lomachenko and his skills and stuff like that, and I still see a little bit of the amateur game in his game, and I see an annoying tendency to try to direct the ref every time. It's like, hey, he's hitting me low, he's hitting me here, and there's a couple of things where I just don't know if I like his personality yet. That's the main thing I could bring you on Lomachenko. Watching him fight. The Salido fight was actually the most exciting of the fights I've seen him in, so you could take that for what it's worth. Anybody else that we want to talk about? Klitschko, you guys want to put on here?
I'll tell you what, someone made a big splash. Deontay Wilder. I know he's taking more punches than he should when he fights, but man, he was exciting to watch. Wilder in his last bout on the Al Heyman. He's on the Al Heyman train right now. As from I understand, Rigondeaux might be heading that way as well. I know his contract's up in February. But Deontay Wilder, man, did you watch his last fight, Montel?
The one thing about Wilder that I'm more impressed with is his conditioning. He went 12 rounds with Severn. Didn't look like he really got tired. He went hard. With his last kid, he went for the knockout. He showed a lot of conditioning. He threw a lot of punches, and he tried to get him out of there. And I've been reading, the fans, the Facebook fans, the social media fans, they really don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the kid, he's everything he's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? My father told me a long time ago when I was a kid, but everybody ain't gonna like him, and you can't impress everybody. And that's what I'm looking at with Wilder right now. Wilder right now would be a great fight for Klitschko. The more he's learning, he's gonna be more and more dangerous. Klitschko is an older man. Wilder, and the up and coming guy, the young kid, and I think he's gonna be around for a while. I think I was saying that people were saying that he should fight for back then, and it's all these guys lost for a round and undefeated, and I think he's bringing boxing with Alabama, and it's exciting. It's interesting to me. Like I said, he showed all the condition in the world. He went for a knockout, and I respect that as a kid.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that he belongs in a top 10 discussion yet, but I think Deontay Wilder has been...
He's heading that way.
He's been injecting new blood into the heavyweight division, which has basically been dead. I agree with Montel that it's exciting. I also enjoy the historical fact that, for the first time ever in Alabama, the world championship was defended there. He's a good kid in terms of... kind of the total package kind of thing. Good looking, big physical specimen. And here's the thing is that everybody criticizes, he doesn't have an amateur background, or, he started boxing late and stuff like that. But
he's a bronze medal. He's got an amateur background.
Is that who am I confusing him with then? Why am I confused?
Deontay Wilder's got that's what they call him, the bronze bomber, bronze medal.
Okay, but still, wasn't that with like 20 amateur fights without an extensive amateur?
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's a specialist.
That's what I was getting at.
Guys like him don't box anymore. They play football or they do MMA, they do other sports.
And that, in general, even though I may have been a little bit wrong on a couple of the details there, I think he did start boxing late. He's not one of those guys that boxed since he was 12 years old or 10 years old or anything like that. They started boxing as an adult and still won a bronze medal after a short amateur career. Anyway, people hold that against him, and I don't think that that's a good thing to hold against him because he's such an awesome athlete. This guy could probably play football, as you said, and I don't know if he's quite tall enough for basketball, but he'd be a hell of a football player. And I think that
he's a specimen. That guy's a physical specimen.
And I'm rooting for him to do well in all his fights. In this last fight with the Hoopus, the Hoopus was a professional. I think it's a good win. And like Montel pointed out, his conditioning's good. It's in the 11th round. He's adding rounds. That's one of the things people criticize. He knocks everybody out. How's he going to do in a long fight? Well, he's fought 12 rounds with Stiverne. He went 9 in his first title defense, and he just went 11 with the Hoopus and looked good in all those. Molina stunned him, early on in the fight and made him a little more cautious early on, but Molina wasn't really in that fight. And DeHoopus, it was a real solid chin guy who'd never been out before, and he stopped him. So I think Deontay Wilder's doing good things. I found him here on the top 10 pound for pound list at BoxRec because it goes pretty deep, and they have him at 24, and he's a 35-0 on his record. But number 24 is respectable, so he's starting to get rid of some of the criticisms. But yeah, there's still going to be some haters out there.
You know what? I was really surprised at that too. They had a whole bunch of things to say about his opponent, but at the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. I mean, like Montel said, I agree. I was incredibly impressed by his performance. I'm excited to see him continue to fight. I tell you, I'm also intrigued by the fact that he doesn't have that huge amateur career. Like, he doesn't have a lot of miles on him. He's still with 33 fights. He's still a quote unquote a new car.
Yeah. And still 29 years old.
And he's still a bronze medalist too.
Bronze medalist, right? And I think somebody like him is what the American heavyweight scene needs. It's drawing people back in. Like, I had 3 of my friends over. We all watched it. I knew who he was, but literally every single one of us left excited about the heavyweight division after watching his fight. And, his after-fight interview was fantastic. Man, that guy's somebody special, and he's only getting better.
I think the heavyweight division in general, across the board, Vlad, you got to respect Vlad for everything he's done and stuff. He's generally been the top boxer for the last 10 years in the heavyweight division, and generally the last 10 years are considered kind of a down period, especially on this side of the ocean, where the heavyweight division hasn't been so exciting. And I think Wilder makes it exciting. I'm very happy with that. And I think that there are other fighters, if you look at it on an international level, that make the heavyweight division be very exciting. And, if you include guys like Anthony Joshua over in England, Joseph Parker down in New Zealand, there's definitely some exciting young boxers that are out there. Erkan Tepper, who's fighting Robert Helenius in December. Erkan Tepper had a big knockout, 15-0, a Turkish fighter based out of Germany. So there's definitely some talent out there. Maybe we could do a podcast on the heavyweight division one of these days. Be interesting to dig deeper into that. And that way we could talk more about Deontay Wilder.
I agree.
I don't have a problem with it, man. The kid is, like I say, he passed his test with Stavern. Stavern was a big, bruising, tough guy. He pretty much dominated him. He had a lot of people against him at his next fight. He got caught with a shot. But people, if you know anything about boxing, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hurt. All the thing about it is coming back and showing that you have recuperative powers. He came back with this kid last week on HBO and beat him with 11-12 rounds until they stopped the fight. He showed great conditioning. I'm excited about the kid. You know what I'm saying? American League, we got one, and people still complaining.
I agree. I mean, when he stopped a guy that hadn't been stopped up until this point that was known for taking a punch, and he never gassed out. I mean, like you said, Montel, everybody's going to have something to say. You might not necessarily agree with it, but at the end of the day, you couldn't help but be impressed by his performance.
Yep, I agree. Anyway, we've been talking about an hour. We got through some of the subjects that we wanted to do. I think it went real well. I'm very happy to be here at the Talk and Shoot podcast with Montel Griffin, former world champion, giving us his insight on boxing, and my trusty sidekick, Mike Davis. Guys, I want to thank you. Any words here to wrap up? And Montel actually hit us with some big news earlier in the podcast. He will be making a comeback sometime towards the end of November, and we will definitely catch up with him more about that. Montel, I'll let you close out with a little plug on where your fight is again and who the promoter is, and bounce it over to Mike for a goodbye.
Well, like I said, I haven't fought in 4 years. I'm 45 years old, but I've never really taken a lot of punishment in my boxing career. I feel pretty good. My body's been holding up. I've been training for the past month, so I was going to give another chance at cruiserweight. I'm talking about Bobby Hicks for a date November 25th at the Horseshoe in Indiana, and I'm hoping that we can put something together. I'm looking forward to it, and just want to show the fans, man, that I'm still here and I still got it. Just see me put something together and make it happen.
That's definitely incredible news, and we wish you good luck with that. We'll be along for the ride here with you. Mike, wrap up?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be at Montel's fight. That's for sure. And I'll be at the Fanfara fight, and I actually have a fight at Bourbon Street on the south side of Chicago, MMA fight, November 18th. Other than that, I got nothing else going on.
Okay, so we are doing the Talk and Shoot podcast. We'll hit you back next week with some results of the fights going down on the Premier Boxing Champions this week, and we'll talk about the future calendar and whatever else is going on in the world of boxing. I'm Miguel Adorati, and we've been Talk and Shoot.